from butterfly. So last week we've been working open guard. The week before that was butterfly, right? Butterfly and open guard play very well together because when I start to elevate him or lift him up with my butterfly hooks, he has two choices. We looked at the main choice where he never puts his feet on the floor, he just pinches his knees and comes right back down. But there are a lot of times when I lift him up that he'll post on his feet. This is a great place to start entering into X guard. Back down. So what you're going to find as you progress is that getting double unders or getting any type of angle is very difficult. People fight collar grips, they fight arm drags, and so Matt Moss, one of the brown belts here, showed us a really cool entry into X. And we're just going to reach our hand forward and grab the knot. This is the type of grip that you can get at the advanced levels. People don't fight it as much. So while I have that grip, I'm going to pull it into me at the same time as I move my legs forward. Think of like a rowing exercise, and I'm going to elevate with my legs. My goal is to have him post on his hands. So I come here, I pull, I elevate, and I get him to post on his hands. You can see I don't let his feet get the floor. This is when I'm going to decide what I want to do. So from here, I'm going to keep one hook elevated. I'm going to hook underneath the leg. I'm going to switch right into X before I let his feet hit the floor. Back down. Again. So I'm in here, I'm fighting. He's on his knees. My hands come in, they grab the belt. I'm going to do that rowing exercise. I'm going to pull it into my chest as I scoop my bottom underneath, lifting with my legs. It doesn't have to be a fast, explosive movement while we're practicing it, and expect the person on top to post their hands. That's what we want. Okay? Here, control, I row, I lift, and I get him to post his hands on the floor. My hand's going to come underneath the leg right here, and my other foot comes underneath as well. You can see my knee is posted behind the thigh. We're going to work a couple different X guard sweeps this week, but this is the position we're looking for. Here, here, here. Again. One more time. Both hands, rowing exercise. Both hands on the knot. I'm pulling forward as I scoop underneath, and I lift up Mr. CJ. Control underneath the leg. Keep him lifted here. If you want to hold on to the knot, that's fine as well. 2, if you can't fit the foot in with your knee on the outside, we can straighten the leg to make space. So I'm going to show you guys the back side because that's the important side. Okay. So we've got the belt grip, right? Everyone's doing great up to here, but then the space is jammed up and you can't get underneath. I'm large, so I can help turn my body. But even here, it's difficult to get my foot in without straightening my leg. So instead of trying to bring the whole leg back in, we're just going to elevate and just bring the foot back in. That'll make sure that you have enough space. If you try to bring the whole leg, you're not going to be able to. So turn and just bring the foot in right here. And you can see that I've got my body perpendicular with CJ. Part of the problem that you ladies are having, put your hands on the floor, is that you're staying here and you're trying to bring the foot in and it doesn't bend that way. Underhook, bring that shin up by the shoulder and then straighten that leg. When you straighten the leg, there'll be space to bring the leg in here. That make sense? Mm-hmm. Very important that the knee is on the outside. Let's go, ladies. You're getting swept are very high, okay? Which sweep I choose is going to be dictated by what the person does on top, more so than a lot of the other things that we do. A lot of times you can institute your game and do the sweep that you want, but X guard is going to depend whether their hands are on the floor or not on the floor. The basic sweep for when they have their hands on the floor is totally different than the basic sweep if they're standing upright with posture. So ideally, if I'm on the bottom, would I rather their hands be on the floor or not on the floor?
On the floor?
On the floor. If I can get their hands on the floor, that's great, because then that means that their legs are going to be light. So you're going to find that it's easier to get the legs around your head, which when they're standing and have a little bit of posture, that part can be difficult. So there are two very important things. When we enter into X guard, we need to check their base, and we do that one of two ways: stretching or lifting. All right, that's why X guard is so powerful. If you have long legs, stretching is really great. If you have short legs, lifting is really great. If you have in between, you kind of clutch it. You do both. You kind of push away and lift up. Does that make sense? All right. So we're in here. I get a hold of that belt. Again, I pull him, I lift him, I start getting some angle, and I come in here. Now, his hands are on the floor. I want to keep his hands on the floor, so I'm going to make sure to keep a little bit of pressure up. Will you turn your body so that we can? Good. So I keep a little bit of pressure up. That ensures that he keeps his hands on the floor. In the event that I let his foot come to the floor and he starts to come up, you can use this hand on the knot to pull down to make sure that he keeps the hands on the floor. So if his hands are on the floor, then I know his leg and leg are lighter. So I'm going to keep a little bit of pressure off while I get control of this leg. As I let this foot dip, you see how his body kind of tilts just a little bit? That I know means that this leg is going to be light right here. Make sense? Mm-hmm. Now from here, I'm going to come up, I'm going to grab a hold of the belt with my free hand, chalk like I'm listening to the phone. I'm going to stretch him a little bit, I'm going to pull him into me. From here, both hands on the belt, I'm going to pull him backwards and then put my hooks in. I want to make sure that my hooks go in before his legs hit the floor. Does that make sense? Okay. You okay? Grabbing the belt, remember, rowing, pull, lift. Start to get a little bit of angle. I've made some space. I'm pulling down here and lifting lightly on the outside while I get this. From here, I'll let this come down a little bit. It doesn't even look like his foot's moving, but his weight is transferring. That'll make it a little bit easier for me to get over here. Nice and tight. Don't let go of the belt until after I get this grip. I don't want him to turn back into me. Control, answer the telephone. Use that telephone to turn my body. 2-on-1, I'm pulling back at the same time as I'm straightening and set those hooks. One of the things I want you to be careful of, will you just turn around in front of me here and stand up? Their tailbone is in danger here. We have mats, okay? It's important that we pull them all the way back onto us before we start straightening the legs. Go back up. If you try to straighten the legs first, it'll power break them. No, don't fall back, don't fall back. It'll power break them so that their bottom, you see how he kind of warped a little bit and the last second I push him away? I don't want anyone falling on the floor from here. It hurt your lower back, okay? One more time, from the beginning. Row, pull, and lift. Keeping them lifted, I change my angle. X, right? Lift, while I get control. Drop, lift, control, right here at the belt. Hand comes up to answer the telephone. It'll turn behind the knee. Control, pulling back so his weight's on me. Lifting, hooks go in. Let's go, ladies. All right. So now what we're going to look at is I did launch them, and for some way they got their hands back off the floor and they got their base back underneath them. Now, if they're moving back up and you time it correctly, it's going to be super easy. Okay? If they're standing and you don't time it correctly, it's still going to be super easy. Okay? The important thing is that the bottom hook slides all the way until my ankle touches the floor and my foot is still hooked on the ankle. Okay? The pressure comes from turning my knee to the floor. I'm going to show you so it makes sense in a second. But the hardest part about this is going to be the training partner getting back up, their hands off the floor. All right? So don't check their base while they're trying to stand back up or we won't be able to practice option number 2. So again, I'm here, I row, I lift, I get some angle, I come underneath. Oh, okay. Let's turn just a little bit, please. I want your bottom towards the camera. All right, so the first thing I do is I lightly stretch. I'm gonna drop this ankle all the way to the floor. Now this is the knee that drives to the floor. When I drive the knee to the floor, he falls. Now watch what I do. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to straighten my top leg. I'm just going to slide right over into side control. Okay? Again. Let's look at the back. Controlling on the knot, I get my row. I lift. Out and control. And I say, oh man, he got his hands off the floor, right? From here, I stretch just slightly. Drop the ankle. Drop my knee. From here, straightening the top leg, I come over into a good side control position. One more time. Am I going too hard? I'm just a giant. That's what you say. Lifting underneath. I gently lift him. Drop my ankle to the floor. Now all of the pressure, it's not the whole body. Just turn my outside knee, the one in the back, turns to the floor. My top knee straightens, and I hop right over into a good side control position. Should be very easy. Make sure that when you fall, you tuck your chin and you break fall lightly, okay? No one tries to catch themselves on their hands. Go ahead.
Like it doesn't stay here.
Good. The right leg should come straight. Yeah, just like that.